If you're struggling with college football 25 or you're just new to football games in general, don't worry, I'm here to help. In this video, we're going to go over the top running tips to help you start winning more games. As well as if you guys stay all the way to the end of the video, I'll show you guys the absolute best running play in the entire game. Now, if you like college football content like this, make sure you go ahead and like the video and subscribe for the best college football content on YouTube. Now, let's go ahead and get into the video. First things first, if you're going to be running the ball in college football 25, then you need to know the ball carrier moves. The first one we're going to talk about is the spin move, and you do this simply by clicking B, as you can see here. And that's all you have to do a spin move, but that is not quite just it. I know we should all know that if you click B, you do a spin move, but if you hold the right trigger, it is significantly better, and you can create so much more space than if you just simply tap B. So make sure whenever you're doing this spin move, you are holding the right trigger, and you will be able to create so much more space and switch direction so much better than if you just simply tap B like I am here. The next ball carrier move that we're going to talk about is the juke move. And to do the juke, all you have to do is just flick the right stick either left or right. And that is simply how you do a juke move. But similarly to the spin move, it is significantly better if you do it while holding the turbo button, holding down that right trigger. You're able to create so much more space while doing this juke move than you are if you weren't holding that turbo. So here it is if you're not sprinting, and you can see he's barely getting any ground, but if you do hold that right trigger, like I'll go ahead and show in a second, he's able to create so much more space. So as you can see here, right trigger, not right trigger, not right trigger. He's just not able to create near as much space as he would if you're holding that turbo. So make sure if you are doing this juke move or the spin move, you are holding that right trigger, and you'll be able to create so much more space. The next ball carrier move we are going to talk about is the hurdle. Now, to do this, all you have to do is click Y, and your player will hurdle, but you must be extremely careful when trying to do this move. It is a very, very, very risky move to do. It's not going to be extremely successful. It won't work at a high percentage, and if it doesn't work, you have a very high chance of fumbling the football. But if you do get lucky and you are able to hurdle someone, it does look really cool, right? So there obviously is the upside of if you are able to do it, it looks pretty sweet, but the risk is extremely high, as you probably will fumble the football if you get hit while trying to hurdle someone. Now, the next ball carrier move we're going to talk about is the truck. To truck someone, all you have to do is flick up on that right stick, and your player will go ahead and try to run through that defender. Now, it does look pretty cool when you are able to do it, but even if you do truck somebody, running right through them will obviously slow you down significantly more than if you are able to go ahead and do a spin or a juke and just get by them without them touching you. So although the truck does look cool and it is fun to go ahead and lower your shoulder and run through someone, it's not quite as effective as a juke or a spin, because like I said, it will still go ahead and slow you down, as opposed to where if you were just spinning or juking. So it's not the most useful move. So if I were you, I would go ahead and stick with the spins and the jukes, as they are definitely significantly better than this truck. Now, this next move we're going to talk about isn't exactly a skill move, but I would argue it is one of the most important moves in the game, and that is going ahead and just giving yourself up Fumbles are very, very frequent in this game, especially if your player is tired at all. So it is useful to be able to know how to go ahead and lay down and give yourself up before taking a hit stick or running into a big tackle and potentially coughing up the football. Sometimes it's best to go ahead and take your yards and get down before taking a big hit. So to do that, all you have to do is tap the X button and your player is going to go ahead and lay down. So like I said, all you have to do is tap that button and your player is going to get down and not take that big hit and risk a fumble. Now, make sure when you are doing this, you are just tapping the X button, because if you hold it, your player is going to go ahead and dive. And if your player gets hit on that dive, there is again a very likely chance that he will cough up that football. So like I said, make sure you are tapping it and not holding it, because whenever you hold X, that is to dive. So hold X to dive and tap it to give yourself up. Like I said, these might not be the most kind of showboaty moves, I guess, but they are really big and can be very useful coming down into the game, close run. You need to make sure you get into the end zone. Go ahead and hold that X button and dive and make sure you get in there. If your player's low on stamina, you don't want to risk him taking that big hit and potentially coughing up that football. Go ahead and just tap X and he's going to go ahead and lay down and not take that hit for you. Now that we know some of the skill moves, let's go ahead and talk about some of the best running plays for certain formations. So anytime you're in a shotgun formation, so that's when your quarterback is a few yards behind the line of scrimmage and the center is hiking the ball to your quarterback, right? He's not just handing it to him, he's actually snapping the ball to him, right? That is a shotgun formation. So anytime you're in the shotgun formation, the best run plays for you are going to be your inside zones, kind of your halfback bases, pretty much anything up the middle for the most part are going to be your better runs. Now, of course, there are some exceptions where you can find other outside runs that work well from the shotgun formation, but for the most part, you're going to be wanting to look at your inside zones here, and those are going to be your better runs from that shotgun formation. Now from anything under center, so that is whenever your center is just handing the ball to the quarterback. Your quarterback is directly behind the center. Those are your better run plays, right, for your kind of outside zones, your sweeps, even pitches, right? More of your outside runs are better from that under center look. Now your inside zones and inside runs can work especially well from under center as well. But mainly when you're in shotgun, you want to focus on sort of those inside runs. And then when you're under center, you can kind of mix it up. But that is whenever you're going to be wanting to look at those outside zones and sweeps and things like that. So now that we know what run plays are best, we're going to go ahead and come out here in this under center look with this halfback stretch against a random defense. And we're going to go ahead and talk about a few things while actually running the football. So the biggest tip I can make, like I'm showing right here, is whenever you are making a run play, the absolute biggest tip is do not sprint too soon. Whatever you do, do not sprint behind the line of scrimmage. Holding down that right trigger is going to allow those defensive linemen to shed their blocks quicker. So if I go ahead and I hold the right trigger right here, they're going to go ahead and everyone's going to shed their blocks and get to me significantly faster, right? So whenever you're behind the line of scrimmage, do not hold that right trigger until you get some open space. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it right there just to go ahead and try to get around him. But sometimes, right, I'll make a run play and I'll never hit the right trigger. Like right here, you want to wait until you get around those blocks and then hit it once you're in open space, right? So you're going to wait, and then you're going to hit it and go ahead and try to get outside. And that's when you're going to want to start accelerating and really turn on the jets to get upfield. But like I said, whenever you're behind the line of scrimmage and you hold that right trigger, they're able to go ahead and shed their blocks a lot quicker. You just want to wait until your guy is a little bit more in the open and is able to go ahead and turn on the jets, like I said. And that's when you're going to want to hold that right trigger and try to run past everyone. So this right here is a good example of anytime you're back here, you're not holding right trigger. We're not holding it and we're waiting and we're just going to read our blockers and we have a big hole. And as soon as we get through that hole, you can kind of see it right here. This is when we hit right trigger, and that's when we start accelerating and getting upfield, right? So you want to wait till you get a little bit of that open space, and then boom, I see my hole. Now we hit right trigger, and now we're off to the races. Not only does holding right trigger too soon allow those defensive linemen to go ahead and shed their blocks and get through like it just did right there, but also when you're not holding that right trigger, it allows you to go ahead and sit behind the line of scrimmage a little bit more and read your blocks and find your hole, right? One of the biggest things when it comes to running the football is you can't necessarily predetermine the hole in which you're going to run through, right? And it's easier on a stretch play because you know you're just going to try to put your head down and run outside. But especially on those inside zones, right, you need to kind of take it slow and find your hole, right? You have to be patient when it comes to running the football. Don't get in too big of a hurry, right? Be patient, find that hole, click that turbo, and then you're out and you can make a play, and that's how you get those big runs. It is all about patience, reading your hole. Don't click that right trigger too soon, and then once you're in space, go ahead and turn on the jets. Kind of the last tip here I have for you guys is, like I said, it's all about being patient and finding those holes and then turning on the jets. But once you do get into trouble, right, if you run the ball up the middle, and like I said, if you run into a bunch of traffic and you get yourself into some trouble, do not be afraid to use those skill moves, even in situations where you think it might not work. Especially in college football 25, the jukes and the spins are so good. Not only are they good to get around defenders, but a lot of times it'll trigger animations for you to go ahead and break that tackle. So even if you're running the ball up the middle and you're like, wow, I don't have any room, go ahead and just click one of those skill moves, right? Obviously, the more you do it, you'll get better at it and you'll learn when to do what move. But with anything, it just comes with practice. So like I said, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to just go ahead and try out one of those skill moves, even if you think now might not be the situation for it. Worst case scenario, right? If you're like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get tackled, click the spin, click the juke. Worst case scenario, right? He gets tackled like he would anyways, right? And there's a good chance that he's not going to get tackled. Even if he does spin directly into someone, he's going to go ahead and trigger that broken tackle animation. And although he might not get directly around the defender, he'll go ahead and just break that tackle and he still might be able to get out and go ahead and make a big play. So I think the biggest takeaways from this video is make sure you're patient when running the football. Don't get too excited and hold that right trigger down as soon as you get the football. Take your time, read your blocks, find your hole, and that's when you can go ahead and hit that right trigger and get out of there. And then once you're in that open field, that's when you spin, that's when you juke, that's when you make those big plays. And just like anything, it comes with practice. And you'll just get better with more reps, you know. The more reps you take, you'll get better at reading those blocks. And your run game is going to get a whole lot better. And I promise you guys are going to win more football games. But I told you guys earlier, if you stick around all the way to the end of the video, I was going to show you the best run play in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Now the best run play in the game, by far, absolutely second to none, is actually in play type under quick pass. Now, it is technically considered a quick pass if your quarterback lets go of the football. If he hands it off, it's a run. If they let go and drop it in to the offensive player's hands, then it is technically a pass. But the absolute best run play in the game are going to be your jet sweeps and your jet touch passes. If you haven't tried these yet, these are all super good. There's at least one jet sweep or touch pass in every single formation or every single playbook in the game in a ton of different formations. The blocking, I'm going to go ahead and come out in a random defense here just to show you guys. But the blocking that sets up on these touch passes is absolutely insane. The angles that these defenders take are so bad that you can just run around them and gain huge yards every single time. I don't know what it is. They might even get patched here soon. But like I said, the angles that these defenders take to get to you are so bad, and the blocking on these jet touch passes are so good. Out of every single formation, they work 95% of the time, right? Anytime you need a few yards, especially on those 2-point conversions, these touch passes are huge, especially if you have a quick guy out there and he's able to get around and beat your guy to the pylon. These are by far the best run plays in the game. I mean, it's an easy 5+ yards every single time, and it's not uncommon at all to go ahead and break a big one off when running this play. But hey man, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. If you found any of these tips and tricks helpful, go ahead and hit the like button, man. It lets me know that you enjoyed it, and it helps my video do better as well, and it'll only take a second out of your day, so it means the world to me. If you're into college football 25 content, if you're looking to get better at the game, consider subscribing. Like I said, it'll only take a second out of your day, and it'll mean the world to me. I'm going to be posting a ton of content over here to try to help you guys out. So if you're interested in subscribing, I would very much appreciate it if you could do so. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and God bless.